Hey guys, welcome back to Code Talks. Haven't been uploading for a while. I apologize, been kind of busy, but here we are back at it again. So, today I will be teaching you guys the walkthrough and the process of solving at least the first three CCC problems on the Canadian Computing Competition. So those taking it after watching this video should be able to solve the first 2 to 3 problems with ease, and then the fourth problem if you practice. But here is just a thought process. So here I have pulled up 2019's contest, I believe. Don't need that tab. I don't need this. So winning score. So you can read the problem, but I'll just quickly explain it. How this works is there's two teams. The first three inputs regard the first team, and then the second three inputs regard the second team. So how it works is for team A, the first input describes how many 3-pointers were scored, then how many 2-pointers were scored, then 1-pointers, and same for team B. So what we can do really quickly is just drawn a quick kind of graphic that how we should go approach this in the fastest way possible. So we're gonna have a variable that's called sum A, and sum A is gonna be the sum of the points of the first team, and how we're gonna calculate that is we're going to get the first input and put it in and this is all going to be in a for loop, and we're going to multiply that first input by 3 minus the first iteration where I is going to be 0, so 3 minus 0. So we're going to multiply that input by 3, and that will give us the total number of 3-pointers, right? And the points we got from that. And the next iteration, I is going to equal 1, and then we're just going to multiply the input by 3 minus 1, or 3 minus I, and that'll give us the yield of the 2-pointers scored. And then I is going to be equal to 2 in the last iteration, and we're going to multiply the input by 3 minus 2, 1, and that'll tell us the 1-pointers. And sum B is just going to be the same. All right, so let's create our two variables, sum A equals 0 and sum B equals 0. And then I'm just going to make a for loop. I'll just comment so you guys know what I'm doing. So, points of A, so that's team A. And then for int I equals 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Okay, excuse me. And then what we're gonna do is just do simple. Just keep it simple. The thing people kind of mess up on, especially in this competition, they try to go too complicated. Just keep it simple. So sum A plus equals, for those who don't know what plus equals means, it would mean sum A equals sum A plus whatever I'm adding, right? This is just shorthand. Sorry about that. Sum A plus equals in my scanner's name right here to get input in dot next int. That'll give me the next input. I'll multiply that by 3 minus I. All right. So the first time I is going to be equal to 0, then again and again and again. So first time I is equal to 0, 3 minus 0 is 3, multiply by 3, add, for example, the first input would be 10, then you multiply by 3, then I is going to be equal to 1, and this loop is going to keep running until I is equal to 3, and every time I increases by 1. Alright, now I'm going to do the same approach to find the point of B. So the initial value of I is 0, run until I is less than 3, and every time I is less than 3, I plus plus. So increment I by 1. Then I could just do sum B plus equals, I should have copied and pasted, times 3 minus I. And then just compare the two with some if statements. So if sum A is greater than sum B, then system dot out dot println a, and then I'm just gonna copy this, else, sorry, if, and then an else over here, else if sum is less than the sum of b, then print out b, else system dot out dot println t, and I spelled system. Alright, and this should work very easily. So I'm just gonna go back to the problem set, grab the input. This is why I like to use IntelliJ. Though you can, it's very nice interpreter, and it also, what it can do for you is it just allows you to copy paste in the console, which is really helpful. So that is running. That's the first run of the day. My computer just updated. Come on, let's go. We don't have all day, buddy. Yeah, this should not happen again. My bad. Alright, so I just copy paste the input, click enter, and I got the output B. Let's see what the expected output is, B. And we can run this for fun. Run it. Oh, I missed one input. I'm missing one input. I missed the one. T, and the expected is T. Alright, perfect. Let me get rid of this and let's go on to J2. So J2 wants us to get an input n, so I'll just do right away. Int n equals n.next int. In a lot of problems, you're just gonna have to get n, and n is just how many lines are gonna be following. So you have to print out 9 pluses, and then you have to print out 3 minuses, and then 12 a's. This problem is quite easy. Again, you just gotta approach it very simplistically. So you just do for int I, a lot of for loops in CCC, guys. I is less than n, so that's will allow us to get the next n lines of input. So first time I is 0, it will run because n is going to be at least 1. And then it'll keep incrementing and tell us what the situation is. Or not tell us what the situation, it'll just keep going and stop when there's no more input to get. So I will just do int a, I'll just call it, and dot next int. And then important things to remember, sometimes people forget this on CCC. When you're using a scanner and get a primitive type data first, like an int, byte, short, char, it leaves some white space because it's only looking for the next int. So what'll happen is it'll get this, but it'll leave the space, and it'll get the space in the plus when I do string s equals in dot next line. So this, for example, in the first input will be space plus, not just plus. So what we have to do to this is use a method called trim. And what trim does, trim just removes any trailing or excess white space. That's what we needed to do. Alright, so actually what we can do, we can put in another for loop. Int j. Don't be afraid to use nested for loops, guys. J is less than a, j plus plus. Okay, and then basically this will run j times, so I just do a system. And then we'll want to get string s over here. S equals in not next. I don't know why I deleted that. Dot trim. And then we just system dot out dot print. Print will allow us to keep printing on the same line, and we just print S. And then after we're done this for loop, we want to do a print line so the cursor moves to the next line. And this looks about right. Yeah, it's pretty simple. All about how you approach the problem. So we'll go fetch. Yeah, that's a bit faster. Fetch the input and 9 pluses, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, everything seems to be right except for 2x's. What happened to that? Let me just quickly just type in the input manually and see what's up. Oh, I didn't add a space between the 9 and the plus. It's my bad. And then 12C, for example, has a bunch of C's, 3 V's, and let's say 4 N's. Yep, works perfectly fine. And yeah, that's how you solve J2s. J2s, a lot of them, people kind of hate J2s because they're worded really weirdly. So like the trick is just read it and again, keep it simple. I cannot stress enough how simple you should keep it. Alright, J3. I feel like we might even get through J4 actually, but we have to get J3. Okay, so J3, again, there's an N. So right away, we do int N equals N dot next int. Okay, and then for the next N lines, I need input. So I just right away make my for loop, save some time. It's all about time. You only have 3 hours, right? And J5s require an algorithm or something, or recursive algorithm or something, which we're not going to go over today. So you definitely want to fly through the first 4, especially if you're doing junior. If you're doing senior, it's a whole different competition or conversation. All right, so cell phone plan, yeah. Usually I just read the, sorry about the mic, 1 second. Yeah, so usually for problems like this, they're pretty self-explanatory. You don't need to read it, like you guys can read it, but I'll just explain it really quickly. They're gonna give a string, and in that string, you have to figure out how many pluses there are. For example, this string, how many equals, and how many exclamations there are. For this one, how many sevens, and you can see the output. There are 3 pluses in this string, 3 equals in this string, and 4 exclamation marks. So yeah, let's just do it. So string S, I'll just call it S. I just call all my strings S. Pro tip, call your variables letters you will remember, but like also something short so you save time. Okay, and then I will have a for loop. You gotta love for loops. Actually start at 1, I'll say why. So j is less than s dot length j plus plus. Oh, and also I need count equals 2 int count equal to 1. And I need an in.lex line over here just because there's a white space problem, as I mentioned before. Okay, so the reason I started J at 1 this time, because the way I'm going to approach this problem is I'm just going to quickly go to Paint real quick. So you can convert a string into like an array type thing. You can call like each letter. So how I'm going to go about this is I'm going to start in at 1, index 1, and I'm going to compare it to previous index. All right, so that's how we're going to go about this. And that's why I initialize count as 1, because I know there's something behind. So if count, no, s dot char at, so the char at is just specific letter or index. If char at index j does not equal s dot char at j minus 1. I would like to system dot out dot println. I would like to print count plus a space plus s dot char at j minus 1, and I would like to reinitialize count to 0 because now we're on a new set of letters. But otherwise, I would like to do count plus plus. Not otherwise, I just always kind of want to do count plus plus. And also, if, else if, because let's say we're at the end of the string over here, and we can't go over here, so technically this, we can't really read for this, so we'll never know. Let's say 4 is different than 3. We'll never be able to print this out because the way we've set this up as of right now, we're only checking if there's a difference, then print out something. But there's nothing to be different, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing at the end, so you have to handle for that. If j is equal to s dot length minus 1, actually I should just do, how should I do this? I feel like I should, I don't need an else if, you need an if, and I wanna, if j is, then I wanna do this. I'll explain why. Because when I'm at the last index, I'm gonna print this out and there's really like nothing to kind of like tell what if I do count plus plus after that statement, that means I'm gonna get a 0 for this, for example, because let's say 2 and 3 are the same. I output 2, right? And then count equals 0 and I output this, right? So it's like it doesn't make sense because it's like you're not really saying, you're saying there's one less just because you're at the end of the for loop, which doesn't make sense. And also instead of j minus 1, you're gonna want this as j. All right. Mhm. Let's try the test output and see if we're pretty good on time. Okay, so 4, let's do plus 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 equals 3 4. And okay, so you want this to be print. Alright, and you want a space after this. This is just output formatting, nothing big. And I want to end the line over here. Because the CCC grader super picky, byte for byte input. So definitely don't want to mess up on input. It's just something you don't want to mess up on. My nose is running today. Okay, so I'll do 4 again. Plus 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 equals x. Okay, perfect. I could try this input. Should work. Really not too worried. Okay, I'll just make my own. Yeah, it really does. It works, so I don't think we need to be worried and waste our time finishing the input. But yeah, that's J3. Again, just keep it simple. You can see how I just used a nested for loop and just formatted output. Just simple, simple, simple for the first 3 problems. You want to speed through them. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a bonus. J4, S1, Flipper. So also you can access all these problems. Just search a Waterloo Pass Contest CCC and you'll find it. So you're trying to pass the time at optometrist. You notice there's a grid of 4 numbers. You see lots of mirrors and lenses. wondering how flipping the grid horizontally or vertically would change the grid. Specifically, a horizontally flip is, okay, flipping like this, and a vertical flip is flipping like this. Okay. HV, HV. Okay. So how I'm gonna approach this is I'm gonna make an array, and an array works the exact same way like this, and I'm gonna make an array of length 4, and it's it's gonna be quadrant. I know the Cartesian place starts at 1, but it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. Or how is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's gonna be corresponding. So I'm just gonna have 4 indexes, and this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the elements that it's gonna hold. And yeah, I'm just gonna go about it like that. So int array grid. Again, you can keep it simple for these types of problems. You don't need to make a 2D array and go crazy. I used to think that, but now it's just like, why? Why am I wasting my time? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an output, it's a string, so remember in the next line, okay, and then I'm gonna get string s equals in dot next line, okay, and then I'll do a for. This is a really useful loop. I'm gonna teach you guys. For char c in s dot to char array. This is a for each loop. So it's gonna turn this string s into a char array. So this can find this will tell me that when I call c instead of int I from the loop, it'll tell me the element in the index. So it'll go through each element and it just saves time. So remember that. It's called a for each loop or a advanced for loop. Some people call it that. And then I am gonna have a method public static int array h flip. It's gonna be an int array r, and then I'm gonna have a v flip. V flip. Alright. I'm just gonna make it int array copy equals r. And then for copy, I'm just gonna shift the position 1 into, or wait, why would I even do that? No, I'm just gonna have int copy equals new int r dot length. And then copy is just get, remember, keep it simple. We don't have to waste our time on things like this. So this is index 1, 1 turns into 1, 2, 3. 1 turns into, sorry, 0 turns into 2, R2, and then cop1, the index 1, equals turns into R3, and vice versa. So cop2 equals R0. Sorry, just had to think there for a second. Cop3 equals 2R1. Alright, and we'll just return cop. Alright, and then we're literally going to do the exact same thing. Int array. I'll just copy this line, and then we're just going to use the same logic basically. Cop 0 equals, and a vertical flip. Okay, so it would be, oh, it's just, okay, it would be equal R1, and then cop sorry, 1 would equal R 0, and then cop 2 would be 1, 2, 3, so that's where I am, would equal R 3, and then cop 3 would equal R 2. Okay, and then I return cop. And then I might want a method called print the array. Public static void print R int. And it'll just be to system dot out dot out. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing today. I'm just having a bad typing day. R0 plus a space plus R1, and then I literally. So my computer is acting so weird today. 2, okay, and then I just do if C equals H. I don't know what happened there. HF, sorry, grid equals HF grid. Else if C equals V, then grid equals VF grid, and I forgot a semicolon. Okay, and then I just do a print R grid, and we should, hopefully I did this right. But yeah, you could just see that I even use some methods. Don't be afraid to use methods, especially for J4 that are static, because the time limit is negligible. It's very high. Hmm. What is... Oh, I don't need to end that. I don't know why I did that. It's just dumb. I don't have any primitive types, so I don't need that. HV, and the output was 4321. And yeah, that's how you solve the first 4 problems in 2019 contest. And that's kind of the thinking that someone like me would go through for the first 4 problems of something easy. Just keep it simple. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment what you would like to see next. Anyways, ciao.